بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
ألا أيها الراجي المثوبة والأجرى وغفران ذنب سالف أثقل الظهر ألا أيها الراجي المثوبة والأجرى.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. We will start from where we left off, and that was let me just revise with you again. Riba is of two types. There's riba nasi'a, which is the riba of delay, and the riba of increase, which is the riba al-fadl. And the riba of fadl, the riba of increase is very easy. That is just an increase upon the commodity, which is riba, a riba commodity, an increase in which the Sharia has not permitted. As for riba nasi'a, the riba of delay, then that is to delay in handing over the commodity to the other person. And the riba of nasi'a and the riba of fadl can be easily understood from the hadith that we had mentioned. Irbad ibn Sariya mentioned that he heard Rasulullah say, Al-dhahabu bil-dhahab, gold for gold, Al-fidda bil-fidda, silver for silver, Al-burr bil-burr, and wheat for wheat, barley for barley, Sha'ir for sha'ir, barley for barley, Wal-milhu bil-milh, and salt for salt, mithl bil-mithl, the same quantity for the same quantity, yadan bi-yad, hand in hand. So this is the hadith that we have in front of us. Thereafter Rasulullah said, another narration, فَإِذَا اخْتَلَفَ هَذِهِ الْأَجْنَاسِ, then if these species are different, فَبَائِعُوا كَيْفَ شِئْتُمْ, then sell as you wish, meaning as different quantities as you wish, إِذَا كَانَ يَدًا بِيَدٍ, as long as it is hand to hand, meaning at the same time. So from this we understood the ulama made two categories. This is the category, the monetary category, and the other category is a food category. And the monetary category, there are two species in there. There's the gold and the silver. And in the food category, there are three species that the Rasul mentioned. There's the wheat, the barley, and the salt. And we mentioned that when you sell gold for gold, you have to have two conditions. And these conditions are, you have to have hand to hand, and it has to be at the same time. And if you're selling from silver to gold, gold to silver or silver to gold, then you have only one condition, that is hand to hand. And if it is from one category to the other category, such as gold, with gold you want to buy wheat, or with gold you want to buy salt, then there is no conditions at all. Okay, this is inshallah very easy. We also mentioned that if the foodstuff is if the foodstuff is sold as a whole, such as for example batikh, which is the watermelon, and then it is permissible to sell one for two, because the riba does not go into that. Also, for example, in animals, we said that the riba does not go in there. This is because Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu used to sell the bi'r of sadaqah, the ba'ir of sadaqah, which is the sadaqah that the people had given, for two ba'ir for one ba'ir, meaning that he would ask for the ba'ir now for a the camel. He would ask for a camel because Rasulullah sometimes needed camels for his wars, right? Some of the wars that he did. So, but he would need it now, not until and sometimes camels would not be available now. It would only come later, for example, when the people would be able to give zakat, right? So, but because he needed now, so what Ibn Umar used to do, he used to go and take camels now. So he'd take one camel with the promise that he would pay back the person 2 camels later on. And he would only pay back the 2 camels later on. When would he pay back the 2 camels later on? He would only pay back the 2 camels later on, only when obviously the people had come. إِذَا جَاءَ الْمُصَدَّقِ, when the person would give the charity, then only they would have the 2 camels, right? So he would buy 1 camel for 2 camel, meaning he would buy 1 camel, give it to me now, and I'll give you 2 camels later on. So this shows therefore that there's no riba in camels, because otherwise it would have to be at the same time, and it would also have to be the same quantity for same quantity, right? Okay. If you cannot understand it, inshallah, go try and revise it, inshallah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open it up for you, inshallah, because riba is such an important point that everyone needs to understand. Now this is the hadith. Now let's try and have some practical applications of this. Practical applications of it is that when we have pound for pound or real for real, or we're selling American dollars for American dollars, then you must have the same quantity and it has to be hand in hand. So it doesn't matter if you're giving him one 100-pound note and you're getting back 2 50-pound notes. There is no 100-pound note, is there? Sorry. 50-pound note and you're getting back 5 10-pound notes. Right? It doesn't matter as long as it is the same quantity, which is 50 pounds for 50 pounds, and it is the same time. Okay, even if it is of a lower quality, even if the gold at one party is of a lower quality. As an example of this is, for example, sisters, for example, sometimes they have old jewelry, right? And they want to buy the new designs, the new fashion, the new jewelry, right? So they go to the gold merchant, and you know what they say? They say, okay, I'll give you my gold, and I want that new gold, that jewelry over there. Okay, and they say, okay, listen, I have 10 kgs of my jewelry, and I want 10 kgs of that new one. So the gold merchant, who doesn't have any understanding of riba, because he hasn't bothered to come to the lesson today to understand riba, so he says, this miskeen, he doesn't even realize Allah's cursing him because of this. He goes ahead and he says, okay, I'll give you 10 kgs of the new gold for the 10 kgs of the old gold. However, you have to pay, 100 pounds more. Yes or no? This is what happens, isn't it? Yeah. And so the sister as well, she hasn't bothered coming to the lesson, so she pays the 100 pounds. And a'udhu billah, they have both done riba. What was obligatory over here is that it should be 10 kgs for 10 kgs. But obviously that's illogical, isn't it? Why is it illogical? Because we all know that 10 kg of old gold has a lesser value than 10 kgs of new gold. We all agree. And we all know, for example, 10 kgs or 18 carat are of a lesser value than 10 kgs of 24 carat, isn't it? Yes, we all agree. This is the same thing that happened at the time of Rasulullah. Once Rasulullah came to Bilal radiallahu anhu, and Bilal had very nice tamar. He had very nice dates. And so Rasulullah said, akulli tamari khaybar hakada, are all the dates of Khaybar this beautiful, so nice? So Bilal said, La ya Rasulallah, no ya Rasulallah, verily we take 2 baskets of bad dates, of a cheaper quality dates, and we buy with it 1 basket of good dates. Look at that, riba, isn't it? It's a riba. Then Rasulullah said, made an expression basically. And that is a sign of alarm, that he was alarmed. And he said, aynur riba, this is exactly riba, this is exactly riba. So then he told him how to get out of it. So he told him, take these 2 baskets of bad dates and then sell them for money. Then with that money, buy that basket of good dates. Okay, we are thinking, hey, it's the same thing, isn't it? It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. Why? Because when you have sold off the bad dates, you don't have to go and buy the other one, right? So you have that option. So it is not the same. You have the choice. And because in this way, you have stopped the transaction of just dates for dates. And so you have stopped the fact that the person might end up hoarding all the dates. And all those things that we have already mentioned to you, you have stopped that process. So here the sister, what she should do is she should take the 10 kgs of old gold, go to the gold merchant and say, here you go, 10 kgs, how much are you going to pay me? I'll pay you 10,000 pounds for that, 1,000 pounds for that. Okay, and the guy gives her the money, then she takes the money, goes out of the shop, physically goes out of the shop. Why are we saying physically go out of the shop? Remember, because we said as long as they're in the same majlis, same place of contract, they have the choice to cancel it. Remember, so she has to physically go out of the shop, therefore making the sale obligatory on both of them. Remember, we said obligation as well. See how it's all coming back in here. And then she goes back into the shop, and says, hey, I'm back again, I want to buy 10 kgs of new gold, but here's £1,000 and plus £100. Perfectly halal, beautiful, both of them have barakah in their blessings, and may Allah, inshallah, give her nice gold. Okay? And then, this is halal. But this is the way to make it halal. Any way else is haram. The other way that we mentioned to you is haram. Another practical thing. I mean, if you look at the gold merchants, they are always doing a lot of haram. Even in Medina, subhanAllah, I think there's 99 out of every 100 are doing haram. How are they doing haram? I'll give you an example. If you think about it, it's very easy. How they're doing haram is, okay, obviously, you see, the shops in Medina near the haram, near the Prophet's mosque, his mosque are very expensive. The rent might be 2 million riyals, 3 million riyals, might be 500,000 pounds, 600,000 pounds a year. Okay, one small shop. Okay, and because the rent is so high, people obviously just take the shop, and then what they do is they call up these gold companies, such as these companies that are in Dubai and elsewhere. They call them up and say, hey, can you come here, fill up my shop with gold, and then I'll sell the gold, and when I sell the gold, I'll give you back the money. Right? Obviously, so what happens is the gold company comes, gives him the gold, fills up the shop with gold, right, at the rate of 40 riyals per gram, for example, and the guy sells the gold at the rate of 50 riyals per gram, and it'll take him about a year to sell off all the gold, for example, and then after a year, for example, or 3 months, whatever the contract is, he pays them the money. Here riba has taken place. How is riba taking place, guys? Riba has taken place is because that company has given them the gold and they haven't paid for the money straight away. It has to be yad in yad, isn't it? Has to be hand in hand. Otherwise riba has taken place. So here riba has taken place because they haven't paid back the gold company at the same time, and so riba has taken place. Another example with gold. We like to mention gold because this is something that is jewelry. Women like to buy this jewelry. Okay, another way that the people fall into haram: buying jewelry with credit cards. Haram totally. Why? Because credit card means it's a credit, isn't it? The merchant will check your credit card, and they confirm with the credit card company that there is money in your, that you still have money, and then what happens is the merchant will therefore give you the gold on the fact that he has sold you with the credit card. So therefore, when does the merchant really get his money? He only gets it after a week or 2 weeks, whatever, when the credit card company pays him the money, isn't it? So here, he has given gold to the sister without having anything back at the same time. So here we have riba again. In the same way, selling gold on installments is riba. Why? Because you can take the gold now, but you only have to pay it monthly, isn't it? Or interest-free, isn't it? 0% interest, as we have going on, mashallah, now. 0% interest, and you can pay it back over one year. That's riba. Not to mention that if you don't pay it within 1 year, there will be you'll have to pay more. That's something else. We're talking about that's riba as well, but that's something else. But what we are talking about is the sister is paying back in installments for the gold that she bought. And so that would be riba because she would have to pay all of the money at the same time, because it has to be hand in hand, because it's two different species. Here is the species of gold and the other species is the pound. They consider two different species, right? So they can be increase and decrease, no problem. However, it has to be hand in hand. And here she did not do it hand in hand, so there's riba here. Okay? And this is the examples that I mentioned in the notes that I want to talk about, that people fall into riba very easily without even thinking. Okay. Shall we move on to the next issue that we want to talk about, and these are the modern transactions. Now, alhamdulillah, you guys have a general understanding of buyu, a general understanding of some of the principles of buyu, and now we want to apply them into modern transactions to try and understand what the hukum of Islam is regarding these transactions. Okay. The modern transactions are that we want to talk about, inshallah, are the credit cards. We want to talk about the bank transactions. Then we want to talk about the mortgages, the modern, problems that we have with it, and the insurances. We'll talk insurance. And with that, inshallah, I think we will have covered most of the questions that people have. Most of them, not all, but most, inshallah, of all the questions that people have regarding modern transactions and their hukum in Islam. Okay, cards and the card currency that is going on now. Most probably in the future we will find that this procedure of using cards will be more and more used, right? Why? Because obviously the government wants to keep control, wants to know how everyone is spending their money, and the only way to do that is to use cards, because the cards will have information on it and they can easily check that and find out what's happening. And incidentally, this was one of the problems that FBI had with Saudi Arabia after the September 11, because they said, okay, Saudi's funding terrorism. So they went to Saudi Arabia and they found that people were only dealing with currencies, really. Half the people didn't even have debit cards, right? And that's the case. I didn't have debit cards for a long time when I was in Saudi Arabia, until someone took mercy upon me and gave me a free debit card from the bank. Okay, but until then, you have to have a certain amount of cash in your account before they will give you a debit card. So a debit card was not available, so we used to deal in currency all the time. So we'd, for example, get our salaries in currency, in real cash, and we would therefore deal in cash only. So cash is difficult for the FBI to keep in touch with, isn't it? So obviously, the FBI, one of the things they said is everyone has to be issued with a debit card, right? Every account holder has to be issued with a debit card. Why? So that they can keep in touch with what we're doing with the money. Okay, right. So credit cards and debit cards. In the future, this currency of using the cards will become more and more available. So therefore, it is only in our interest to really understand how credit cards and debit cards work. The first thing is that we'll talk about, inshallah, are the different types of cards. The different types of cards that we have, first of all, credit cards. There's two types of that. And then we have the debit cards, which is also two types of that. Obviously, there might be more or less. I'm just giving you a general understanding of what I know from the banks in Australia and the banks over here, that this is what you usually have. Credit cards are two types: charge card and revolving credit card. Charge card basically is that, you have a £500 limit, so you can spend the £500, and once you have spent the £500, once you have used up the £500, then at the end of the month you have to pay back the £500. If you don't pay back the £500, then they're going to slap you with a late fee, and they're also going to punish you by taking your credit card away if you haven't paid for 2 months. If in 2 months you haven't paid, then they'll take your credit card away and they put your name in the blacklist. This is the charge card, the charge credit card. Then they have something called revolving credit card, which is that, for example, you have £500 limit, and then you can use £500, and then after that, if you don't pay back within the first month, then it will go on to the next month. However, you will have to pay the late fee, but there's no problem. You don't have to hurry up, as long as you're paying the interest, right? As long as you're paying the interest to service the debt, then that is not a problem. This is most of the credit cards are like this. Okay, the second type. The debit cards, there are also two types. You have the direct debit, which is basically it directly debits from your account, and the money goes straight away from your account into the merchant's account that you use the ATM machine. You guys call it FPOS here? Do you guys call it FPOS? Cash machine, okay. Cash machine, yeah. That's called ATMs, right? So you go to the teller and you get your money out, and so you can get it straight away from your account, or you can, for example, go to the local grocer and you can use your debit card, and the money will go from your account into the merchant's account straight away. Now, obviously, are you guys understanding why we were stressing this fact of when the money comes to the other guy? Because, obviously, riba depends on that, isn't it? The issue of delay is very important in Islam, because if you look at it, this is how people make money. Cash flow in a business is so important. It doesn't matter if you have more money or less, as long as you have the cash in your hand. That is what's really important, isn't it? So, this is why it's very important to realize when the money transfers hands. The second point is debit cards. Debit cards, two types: direct debit, and you have the current account debit cards, in which case you have about 2 or 3 days until the money reaches the merchant. Okay, a little bit of a delay. Most people usually have the direct debit one. Most people usually have the direct debit. Some other large account holders have the current account debit cards. Okay. The fiqh scenario behind credit card transactions, I'm not going to talk about the debit cards because they're very easy. It's just a transfer of money, isn't it? It happens straight away. It's just like currency. So it's as if it is like a normal, is as if you're giving cash. So I'm not even going to deal with it. But the problem is the credit card, and how do we understand the credit card scenario? The way we understand the credit card scenario is that flowchart picture that I've given you here. And this is exactly what happens between a credit institution and the customer and the seller of merchant. Let me just break it down easily so that you understand what of it is halal and what of it is haram. Okay. The credit institution, which is the Visa or the MasterCard, has an agreement with you, the customer, when you sign up with it, that the credit card, that the credit institution will pay the merchant that you buy from, and who has the merchant account with the credit institution, the X amount of money that you buy with. Okay, so this agreement that you do, you sign up, and you put your name to it. This agreement in Islam, the ulama have talked about, ulama have differences regarding whether, what type of agreement it is. But perhaps the most correct is what I mentioned here. That this agreement that you made with the credit card institution is that the credit card institution will be an agent for you, and he will also be a guarantor for you, and also he is promising to loan in your behalf. So let me give you an example. Let's say I'm taking Brother Rahim and say, Brother Rahim, I want you to be my agent. So he's my agent, therefore I can ask him to do what I want on my behalf. And also Rahim is my guarantor, saying, Rahim, if in case I need more money, you're gonna have to pay. And also Rahim, I tell Rahim, give me the promise that when I need the money, you're going to pay on my behalf, and then I'll give it back to you, right? I'll give it back to you, but you pay on my behalf. So this is exactly how the credit card institution is working, as far as you and me are concerned, as far as Visa and I are concerned. So he is my agent. Visa is my agent. He's also my guarantor. He guarantees to pay on my behalf, and he also promises to loan me, because he obviously is giving me the money, isn't it? He's loaning me the money by paying the merchant on my behalf. So that's the loan. Okay, why have I made that into a very darker line and the other one into lighter lines? Very soon I will explain that. Okay, and that was buying currency with cash. I'm sorry, did I think it's a typo again. It's buying currency with checks. Yeah? Buying currency with checks, permissible with a certified check, otherwise impermissible. Because it's the same issue, isn't it? Same issue. Because the issue here is, because sometimes, you give someone this is unfortunately what happens all the time, isn't it? We usually just go to a place and say, listen guys, I'll give you a check, to be cashed in, tomorrow, but I need the money now. Okay? So he gives you 100 pounds and you write the check for 110 pounds, for example. So here, there's two types of riba happening. There's first of all the delay, because you're giving him the money later. You'll only get the money later, yeah, because the check is for tomorrow. And also the delay that is happening here, and there's also the increase. You're giving him increase. Okay. But if it's a certified check or you call it a bank draft, then it will be permissible because it is the same as cash currency. Okay, the late payments in Islamic solution. The first most important thing, the Islamic solution to any late payment, is to give the person who is late in paying more time. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَإِن كَانَ ذُو عُسْرَةٍ فَنَذِرَةٌ إِلَى مَيْسَرَةٍ وَإِن كَانَ ذُو عُسْرَةٍ, meaning if the person has difficulty, usra, in his mashaqqa, he has difficulty in paying it back, فَنَذِرَةٌ, then leave him, then he should be left إِلَى مَيْسَرَةٍ, until he is able to pay. Based on this, a person should only have difficulty in paying if he really genuinely has a difficulty. And so when he genuinely has a difficulty, that is the only time that we should give him time to pay. However, if a person doesn't have difficulty in paying, he is ghani, is rich, for example, then at this point, if a ghani does not pay back his loans, then that is very big dhulm. That is a a big sin. This is why Rasulullah said, "Matlul ghani dhulm," meaning the delay of the rich person. And the rich person is every person who has the ability to pay back his loan. The rich person, his delay in paying back his loan is dhulm, is transgression. Okay, is harm. He's doing wrong to the people. So to delay in paying back your debts is actually dhulm, is actually a big sin. So the first solution is to give the person more time. The second is to put the condition. You can either put one of these three conditions. The first being putting the condition that the rest of the payment is due upon delay of any single payment. Okay, you're selling furniture to this person, and this person and you're selling him, £1,000 worth of furniture. He's going to pay back £100 every month, but you're afraid that he might delay payment. So you put in the condition that if you delay even 1 day or 10 days, whatever, as you wish, you put in the condition that if you delay in paying back even one of the installments, even X amount of days, then the rest of the installments are due immediately. What is the benefit of this condition? Benefit of this condition is that upon this condition you can go to the judge, for example, and say this was a condition, he was late, he has to pay everything back, and so the judge will force him to pay everything back. Right? This is one of the ways, which is to put in a condition that if you're late, that everything's due. Okay. Next one is putting the condition that a late fee is to be paid to a third party, such as charity upon delay in payment. Some of the ulama mentioned this, such as the Shafi'i scholars, and also some of the Maliki scholars. However, there's a lot of difference amongst the ulama regarding this. How can you oblige to pay someone else, which is a second contract in that one contract? They're saying it's like two contracts in one, right? However, inshallah, we see permissibility, inshallah, of this, that a bank may tell you, for example, if you're taking money from it, and then you're paying back installments on 0 interest, for example, and if you're late in payment, it can say, okay, you'll have to pay back to a third party, whether it be a charity or to XYZ, you will have to pay him on the occasion of being late X amount of money. Right. You can also put the condition that the client pay for all the costs incurred by the seller or lender from the third parties due to late default in payment by the buyer or borrower, such as bounce checks, legal costs, etc., etc. So this is another way to actually stop a person from being late, isn't it? If you're going to oblige him to pay for everything, okay, he's putting a check, but it's bounced. That's a £25 fee, isn't it? The banks charge you £25 if you're late with if the check bounced. And so if that's the case, then because of this, you can actually put that cost upon the person, and you can also the legal cost in order to make sure you get the money from him. You can also put that on the person as well. So these are the Islamic ways that we have to get the money out of the people. But anything else is not permissible. Inshallah, there might be more ways that the ulama think about. However, apart from this, at the moment, the ways that the people have at the moment of asking for more money, or a late fee, etc., etc., are not permissible at all. Okay, the third point I put there is that any condition of increase in installments or late fee, etc., is riba. Okay, so it's not permissible to stipulate this condition at all in the contract. We come to the last page, and we will talk about, inshallah, 2 remaining things, and that is the mortgages and the modern dilemma of the mortgages, and what do we do about mortgages, and how do we buy a house in England, and the prohibition, and we will also talk about insurances, and what of insurance is halal and what of insurances are haram. Mortgages, okay. First of all, it is not permissible to take a loan from a bank in order to buy a house. Why? Because it is a loan. It is a guarantee. It is an act of loan. It is an act of riba. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prohibited riba. And some of the ulama in our time are of the opinion that it is permissible. This is why we see some of the ulama Some of the ulama of Egypt, for example, some of the ulama of Qatar, for example, they're saying that, okay, for the first house it's permissible. The fact of the matter is it is not permissible. Why? Because riba is a matter which has been made haram by the text of the Quran, and it has been made haram in and of itself. So therefore, the only time in which this riba will become halal is when there is an extreme necessity. What is the extreme necessity? The extreme necessity is when you will die. Either if you don't do it, you will die. If you don't do it, you will lose a part of your body. If you don't do it, you lose an eye, for example. If you don't do it, you're going to lose your eyesight. This is extreme necessity to do with your own life, or to do with your own religion, for example. This is extreme necessity. Apart from that, without having your own house, you will have difficulty, but you will not die. You'll still be able to rent. So this is why the necessity in the West has not reached the level after which we can say that riba is permissible. If someone puts a gun to your head and say, hey, if you don't take a loan, then I'm going to blow your head off, then this is extreme necessity. Then we will permit you to take a loan from the bank. However, if this issue doesn't reach until up to that, then inshallah it is not. Then the hukum is that it is not permissible to take loans from the banks in order to buy a house. Okay. Because of this hukum, then we have so many different trials for Islamic ways of buying houses. We have XYZ types, and I already have told you before, I'm not going to talk about particular banks because I'm not here to talk about, give fatwa, but we have a lot of different Islamic solutions at the moment that are there. They have a lot of problems. And the problems that they have, I have enlisted them here. They may have all these problems, they may have some of these problems, and you can figure it out when you look at their contracts yourself. The first problem that they have is that it's a ploy to disguise riba. That they're actually trying to hide riba in the contract that they're showing. How are they doing that? Well, let me give you an example. I'm a poor guy, right? I don't have much money, I'm a poor man. So I go to Rahim and I say, Rahim, I need money, because Rahim's a very rich guy. So I say, Rahim, I need money to buy a car. The car costs £10,000. So Rahim says, here you go, Tawfiq. And Rahim's, he's a businessman, hasn't really read about Islam much, so he doesn't know about riba and all that. But he wants to make money as a businessman, so he says, here you go, Tawfiq, take £10,000 and give 12,000 back. So I say, hey Rahim, that's riba. That's riba straight out. That's haram. So Rahim's shifty, right? And he says, okay, Tawfiq, do it this way. Let me buy the car for you. How much is it going to cost me? £10,000. And I'll sell it to you in installments for £12,000. So in this case, therefore, I end up paying Rahim how much? 12,000. So he's getting the 12,000. And that was his intention, wasn't it? So here we have disguised riba. The same thing is taking place. It's riba. Right? He spent 10,000 and he got back 12. Now why was it riba here and not riba in normal cases? In other cases wherein, for example, a car dealer might just buy a car for 10,000 and then sell it to someone for 12,000. Why was it riba here and not riba there? It was riba here because Rahim only bought the car because I wanted to buy it from him. If I told Rahim that Rahim, okay, you go ahead and buy the car, and I'll think about whether I still want to buy the car from you or not, right? The Rahim wouldn't do that, would he? Right? And he only bought the car because I had already promised him and signed and put my name on that piece of paper saying, Rahim, I'll buy the car from you. This is why this is riba. It's actually hiding riba. What was the difference between him buying the car, me buying the car? No difference, right? Just the money just went to the car dealer. The car came to me. What's the difference between me paying the money, Rahim paying the money? No difference. And so here, it was riba because we agreed to two contracts in one contract. That Rahim would buy the car and then Rahim would sell the car to me. So there's two contracts in one contract, and so this leads to riba. So they're actually trying to find a hila, or a impermissible way to riba. And don't you see this is how usually it works? Banks don't want the house. They're not in the business of houses, they're in the business of money. So because they're in the business of money, they only will buy the house if you promise and swear by God that you're going to buy the house from them. And so it's only after you've signed the piece of paper that, yes, I'll buy the house from you. The bank goes, okay, here you go, guys. Give me the house, and here you go, Tawfiq, take your house. So this is actually hilat riba. There is no difference here. So therefore, this is one of the problems that usually a lot of Islamic charities, a lot of Islamic solutions to the current problems have. That's actually hilat riba. Second problem is that it embodies two contracts in one contract. As we just showed you, he has only bought it because he has sold it to me as well in the same contract. Otherwise, he would not have done it, because it's too much risk for the bank. Because the bank might buy the house, you might not find a buyer, seller. Someone will buy the house from the bank, and at the price the bank wants. So this is why there is actually sometimes, in most cases, two sales in one sale. And also, it does not follow the principle of profit and loss. Rahim has a guaranteed profit. He has a guaranteed profit because he went ahead and he bought the car for 10 and he sold it to me in the same contract for 12. So he has a guarantee of 12,000. There is no way of loss. Had Rahim just bought the car, and then I had the choice to buy the car or not to buy the car, then there would be a problem, because Rahim had the possibility of making a loss. He might not find a buyer after me after I go away. He might find a buyer who will only buy it for 8, not for 10. So he might end up losing £2,000 instead of making £2,000, right? So this is why when you have two contracts in one contract, the reason is because one of the parties want to guarantee its own profit. However, Islam does not allow that. Islam always says profit with loss, loss with profit. If you want to make money, you must have the possibility of losing it as well. Okay, this is based on the fact that Rasulullah said in a beautiful hadith. He said, "Al-kharaju bid-daman." Verily, profit is with loss, and profit is with the guarantee of loss. Al-kharaju bid-daman, profit was a guarantee of loss. What happened? What happened was he said this because once a companion, he bought a slave from another man, and so he used this. And then the slave stayed with the man. And he did a lot of work for the man. For this companion. He did a lot of work for the companion, about a week or so. However, after a week, he found something in the slave, a defect in the slave. Okay, I don't know. Perhaps it was a blind eye, whatever. One of his eyes was blind, and so he took that slave back to that companion and said, "Hey, I bought a slave from you with the condition that he is perfectly right, perfectly okay, but he has a defect. So I want my money back." So the companion gave his money back and took his slave back. Right, the other guy, other companion, gave the money back and took his slave back. However, he said, "Okay, but you used my slave for 1 week, right? You used my slave for 1 week, so I want money for that." So they argued, and they went to Rasulullah ﷺ, and so Rasulullah ﷺ said, "No, the profit is with the guarantee of loss." What does that mean in this scenario? In that scenario, what it means is that because the other companion who bought the slave, he had the possibility of losing the slave as well, and because the slave died, for example, after the 3rd day, for example, if the slave died after the 3rd day, who would be at loss? The one who bought it, right? So because he had the possibility of loss at that point, so he is also the one who makes the money from the slave at that point. So therefore, the Rasulullah ﷺ did not oblige that companion, the one who had bought the slave, to pay for those 1 week, for the 1 week that the slave have worked for him. Do you see that? In the same way, if we take, for example, a washing machine, for example, we buy a washing machine, and within the 30 days guarantee, we give the washing machine back. Okay, within 30 days, but we have used the washing machine for 15 days, for example. Is it permissible for the washing machine company to say, "Hey, you have to pay for those 15 days that you've used the washing machine, rental charge"? We say no, it's not permissible. Why? Because Rasulullah said, "Al-kharaj bid-daman." Verily, profit is with the possibility of loss. If the washing machine broke down and was destroyed at that time, for example, I don't know, was stolen at that time, who would be at loss? You or me? I would be at loss, right? I'm the customer, I'll be at loss, and so therefore I'm the one who has the right to make profit from it as well. Over here, in our scenario of the borrowing case, Rahim doesn't have a possibility of making a loss because he has signed me up such that already he will buy for 10 and I will buy for and he will sell to me for, he will buy for 10 and he will sell to me for 12. So he has guarantee of profit. So this is haram. This is haram la yajuz. Okay, so this is another problem that many of these Islamic solutions have, so-called Islamic solutions have. Another problem that many of these solutions have is the ghara, the uncertainty. The uncertainty that these Islamic so-called Islamic solutions have is that, for example, in the contract they agree, such as for example hire purchase contract, they will say, for example, as you pay £1,000 every month, you will start to own more and more of the house. Right? What happens is after 25 years, because you'll be owning more and more and more of the house. After 25 years, you will end up being the owner of the house. So after half of that, which is 12 and a half years, you'll end up owning half of the house, because your £1,000, from the £1,000 that you're paying monthly of your repayments, 800 of that is going back to service your debt and to pay back the capital, whereas 200 of it is 800 of it is for servicing the debt, and 200 of it is for the capital. So as you go increase and and you come until 12 and a half years, for example, and you have half of your money, 500 of your debt of your money is going for servicing the debt, and half of it is going for paying back the capital, until you come to 25 years, and with the last installment you have almost 950 of your money going for the capital, at 50% or £50 only going for servicing the debt, and then after that you have no more debt left. This is how it works, right? So you end up buying more and more of the house as time goes on. This is uncertainty. How? Because at every stage you don't know how the house is going to be, and that extra percentage of the house that you're buying, right? The extra percentage of the house that you're agreeing to buy. You're agreeing to buy that 1% of the house in 10 years, and more and more of the house in 25 years. But you don't know the condition of the house at that point. And so that is the uncertainty in the contract. That there is uncertainty in the contract because you're ending up buying more and more of the house, but you don't know what the condition of the house will be. So that is uncertainty. Wallahi ya akhi, this issue of uncertainty in the contract is there even in Jamia Islamiyah. And it's unbelievable how we have, everywhere you go, there's so much haram going on. And inshallah we'll give that example a little bit later. The next point that most of these Islamic systems, so-called Islamic systems, have is that it embodies a condition that goes against the part and parcel of contract. Like, for example, it will say, when you end up owning your house, yes, you can continue owning your house until 25 years. However, note this: you can't sell off your house, or you can't break down the house, or you can't even in your own part. Even if you end up owning half of it, still you can't sell off half of your house. So it stipulates a condition that you cannot do that, and that is a problem. That is a problem. That is a problem. Why? Because that condition goes against the real purpose of being an owner. And the purpose of being an owner is that you have the ability to use your ownership, the commodity that you own, in any way you like. You sell it, you give it as a gift, you give it as a bequest, whatever you want. However, these conditions usually, in most cases than not, they stop this. And also, many a times there is dhulm upon the people buying the house. There is dhulm upon the people buying the house. How is that? Many a times these contracts, they stipulate that it is that, for example, any problems with the house, any council fees, any anything to any maintenance fees, anything broken, anything happens to the house, like for example the house burns down, or for example a car crashes into the house, whatever, everything to be looked after by you. That's dhulm. Why is it dhulm? Because after 1 year I only own 2% of the house and the bank owns 98%. So why should I pay for it? Isn't profit by loss? If you own it, if you own 98% of the house and you want to make profit on the 98%, then you should also be paying for 98% of the loss. But they're not doing that. They will put that condition on you that you have to do everything, and that's dhulm as well. That's dhulm. La yajuz. Another problem that many of them have. Another problem that they have. Another problem that they have, and actually many of the people have, is that it covers up an increase in the capital, which is riba, under the name of an administrative fee or a late fee. It'll say a fee, and the excuse it gives is because you caused us problems being late. Subhanallah, what problem did I say? What problem did I cause? Just a couple of things in the computer, for example. No, because of that, they will put in all these fees, administrative fees and late fees. Many of them are haram, and many of them they will benefit from it if you're late, because that's the business of the bank, isn't it? To give you a loan in which you pay back later on, and in return you get more money. Also, many of these systems, they say that they're mudaraba. How are they mudaraba? They say we are working on the system of mudaraba, wherein it's as if the customer and the bank are buying houses together. However, it goes against this principle of mudaraba. What is mudaraba in Islam? Mudaraba, it's a contract of ijara, of sharika, of business, of a company, wherein two people, wherein one person sells the commodity to another one and tells him that I'm selling this commodity to you, and the capital price that I paid for it is £10, and I want you to pay £2 on top of that. That's my profit. This is mudaraba. That they've actually talked about the other person who's selling. He has said how much he bought it for, what his cost was, and he's also told you how much he's paying on top of that. And how much he wants on top of that. So therefore, you know what his capital is, and also you know what his profit is. Is this happening in here? It's not. So really, mudaraba is a misnomer in most of these transactions. Right. Another problem that they have. Actually, I have 16 points, but I didn't want to talk about them all because it might be confusing you guys. The next point was refinancing. Financing gives rise to bay' al-'ina. That's an important point. Refinance. How do you do that? You have a house already, and I want to refinance it. So I go to the bank and say, "Hey, give me some money for the house." It's like I need more money just to for whatever I want to do with the house. The bank says, "Okay, that's £1,000. So the house is £100,000. So we'll give you £100,000." Okay, and so you take that money, and it's as if you're using the house as the guarantee. And so you're paying it back. That gives rise to bay' al-'ina. What is bay' al-'ina? Bay' al-'ina is, for example, I buy from Mushfiq, for example, I buy a house from him for £100,000. After I bought the house from him for £100,000, I sell it back to Mushfiq. I have actually bought from Mushfiq the house for £100,000 on the fact that I will pay back Mushfiq, 1,000 in installments, in 100,000 in installments over the next 10 years. And then I take this house, right? And I owe Mushfiq 100,000. Remember, I owe Mushfiq 100,000, and I take this house and I sell it back to Mushfiq. For how much? I sell it back to Mushfiq for 80,000. So Mushfiq pays me 80,000. Right? So what has really happened here? What has really happened is Mushfiq has given me 80,000 and he wants back 100,000. That's all it is, isn't it? And the house is only a scapegoat. You guys with me? The house is only a scapegoat here. I owe him 100,000, and he has given me 80,000 now, so I can use the money now, and I will pay him back 100,000 in installments. So the house is only just a scapegoat, just as a, just to give an excuse. But what really is the essence of the agreement was that Mushfiq gave me 80,000 now, and I'm giving him back 100,000. This is the essential end conclusion from the contract. This is called bay'ina. This is what Rasulullah said: إذا أخذتم بأذناب البقر, and when you take hold of the tails of the cattle, وعملتم بالعينة, and you did the bay'ina transaction. That is the time when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will remove the fear of you from the hearts of your enemies, and will cause the enemies to attack you until you go back to your religion. Remember when we talked about how people at this sort of time will become bad, and this is the bay'ina. This is the bay'ina. Okay. How does refinancing give rise to bay'ina? Because you bought the house from the bank and you're selling it back to the bank for lesser money. Right? So it's as if the bank is giving you 80,000 now, and you will pay back 100,000 later. Okay. Right. We come to hire purchases we've talked about, inshallah. The last bit we want to talk about is the insurances. Insurance, and the asl of insurance in Islam. Insurance does have a basis in Islam. And the basis of insurance in Islam is firstly, the asl of it is in Islam is firstly helping the one in debt from zakah money. Because what is insurance? Insurance is actually helping a person in need, isn't it? That I'll give some money now, so that when I'm in need, you guys give me back, right? So here, a person in need, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, a person who is in need, a person, al-gharimeen, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran regarding those 8 types of people that can get zakat. From the one of these 8 types of people is the gharimeen. So this gharimun, the one who is in debt, he can be given from the zakah money. Okay? So zakah money is as if it is a pool of money that belongs to the people. It's like zakat money is like belongs to the institution, to a, let's say, an insurance institution, and it's helping the person in debt when he's in need. Okay, so this is where the fikrah, this is where the idea of insurance comes in, because obviously insurance is only in times of need, isn't it? When you need money, that's the time when the insurance company will act and give you the money. That's the principle. So here, this person has been giving zakat for the last 10 years, but now he's in debt. So because he's in debt now, this insurance company pays him back because he's in need now. Right? So this is the same fiqra of insurance that is in Islam. Another type of insurance, fiqra of insurance that is in Islam, is the blood money upon the aqila. Aqila meaning those people who have to pay money on behalf of the person who has killed another person accidentally. So let's say if I kill someone accidentally, let's say I killed Brother Rahim accidentally with a car accident, and it wasn't my fault, and Allah al-Mustan, it just happened, they died, and so I killed Brother Rahim, and therefore because of this we'll still have to pay blood money, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered us to pay blood money even though we might have killed accidentally. The blood money being 100 camels, about approximately, as I said yesterday, was about 18,000 pounds. So that's the blood money that I have to pay because of killing Rahim accidentally. Because of this, because of killing Rahim accidentally, and I have only done an accident, isn't it? It was not really my fault, because when it's an accident, in a khata, as we took yesterday, the person's sin is lifted. So if the sin is lifted, why should Islam oblige me to pay everything back? It shouldn't. But at the same time, Rahim has died, so his family deserves some money. That's why Islam obliges me to pay money. However, I don't have to pay for my own money. What it is my tribe, the Chowdhury tribe, right? Anyway, my tribe, so obviously it's not Chowdhury tribe. But anyway, the fiqra is this is the principle in Islam, that my tribe, or my people basically, all of them are called this thing called aqila. Okay, aqila. And they are the ones who everyone puts in 2 pounds, 3 pounds, 10 pounds, whatever. until we reach £18,000, and they give the money to Rahim's family. This is ta'meen, isn't it? It's like insurance, right? That these people are helping me in my time of need. That's where the fiqh of insurance comes in. Okay. The types of insurance. We have two major types of insurance available in this time. The first is the cooperative insurance, and the second one is the insurance, the purpose of which is business and trade. The first is the cooperative insurance, and that is halal by ijma of the ulama, inshallah, by consensus of the ulama in our time, because I have not found a single alim who said it's haram. Cooperative insurance, what is the idea of it? The cooperative insurance is that type of insurance wherein they take the money, okay, let's say for example, all the taxi drivers, Muslim taxi drivers, for example, there's about 10,000 in England, for example, they all agree to set up a cooperative insurance. So what do they do? Everybody puts in £100 every year. So that comes to a company, and they set up a company called Muslim Taxi Cab Insurance Private Limited. Okay, they set up this company, and everyone pays £1,000. 10,000 times 100, that is £1 million, right? So £1 million comes to this company, and then this company keeps the money with the guarantee that anybody from those 10,000 who has an accident, the insurance will give that person the money in order to pay for his accident. Okay? Then what happens is, let's say after in the whole 1 year, only about 10 people had accidents, and of the 10 people, each of the 10 took £10,000 each. So what's left is 900,000. Okay? What's left is 900,000. Of that 900,000, obviously there's administrative costs, isn't it? So we had to pay the guys, who are doing all, the secretary, etc., the business guys, etc., accountants, etc., legal costs. 200,000 gone. What have you left? 700,000. Okay, rent and this and that and this and that. Okay, another 200,000 gone. What do we have left? 500,000. So 500,000 is left, and so this company pays back each of the 10,000 people £50 each. Originally, how much did they give? £100. So now he's giving back £50 because that's what's left. This is the halal insurance. This is what we call as cooperative insurance. Okay? Or it may be that when giving the money, these 10,000 taxi cab drivers had agreed that whatever is left from the money, give it to charity. Okay? Or give it to build a mosque, or give it to build a mustashfa, or give it to charity, etc. So this is all halal. This is all halal. Why is it halal? Because no one is eating other people's money from haram. You understand? This is the halal insurance. This is the halal insurance. So from this cooperative insurances, there are three different types that are available usually now. There is the accident insurance. That is usually what many people have, types of businesses have set up between themselves, this sort of cooperative insurance scheme. There's also the social cooperative insurance, which provides income support to disabled due to accidents. This is also, like for example in Australia, we have a TAC. However, I don't really know whether TAC gives the money to social benefit, the money that it gets. TAC basically takes money from the car registrations. Whenever we register a car every year, they take up a chunk of the money. Let's say it's about $300. They take $200 as the accident insurance, they call it. This is not the third-party insurance. This is the accident insurance. Okay, so they take this insurance. What do they do with it? It's a social cooperative thing. Whenever people have an accident, obviously the cost of the accident, the injury cost of the third party in his car, then a third party will have to pay for it. But what about for the medical cost for the person who has been injured? Person who's been injured in the accident, whether it be you or the other person, medical costs, income support. Just wake up the mother up, please. Medical costs, income support. All of this is looked after this TAC. So they'll continue on providing income support until you are cured, or until the rest of your life, until you are better until you die, basically. So this sort of insurance is halal, inshallah. Why is it halal? Because they are helping you, and the agreement is that they will be helping you, and the extra money that is left off, they're not benefiting from it, no one's benefiting from it, the society benefits from it. Okay, so it just goes on to benefit everyone else who has an accident, etc., etc., or to improving road safety, or to improving, traffic awareness, etc., etc., etc. This is cooperative insurance, right? Another type of insurance is Medicare insurance. Now, the Medicare insurance as well is a halal insurance, wherein the money comes into Medicare. I don't know if you have that in this country. Money comes into Medicare, and the money goes to helping each and everyone, whoever is sick, and then the rest of the money goes on for social benefit, but does not benefit a single entity. It doesn't benefit a particular businessman, for example. Okay, this is the fiqh of the Medicare insurance. Then you have the family insurances, which, for example, a lot of families set up in Saudi, for example, because in Saudi Arabia, because mashallah, Muslims, they have large families. What they do is every working member of the family puts in, let's say, £100 each month, with the condition that that money goes to help anyone who's in need of that family. And then, of course, after he uses that money, he pays it back. This is the idea, right? This is also halal insurance. Okay, from those insurances, the purpose of which is trade and business, which is basically the more most of the insurance that is there now, such as, for example, the house and contents insurance, the life insurance, the income insurance, etc. Because the purpose of these insurances is to make money from it. It's like a business setting up itself as an insurance company, and it's selling insurance policies with the guarantee that it will give you the money when you need it, and if you don't need it, then that money will come back to itself, and it will benefit from it. Then this is the insurance that most people that is usually available in the market, and this is haram. Why? Because the rest of the money, after its administrative expenses, goes into their pocket. So it's as if they are eating your money up, right? Okay, there's two things I wanted to talk about regarding insurance. First of all, is what happens when you're forced to take a haram insurance. If you're forced to take a haram insurance, and it so happens that, for example, you have an accident, so now it's your right, isn't it? According to the contract, you get the money. But what is halal is that you only take as much money as you have given to them. So let's say over the last 10 years you have taken insurance, you haven't had an accident. Each year you're giving £100. So over the 10 years you have £1,000 that you've given to them. So after 10 years you have an accident, right? And the accident costs you £2,000, right? How much money should you take from them? Obviously the rule is that they will give you the whole 2,000, isn't it? But no, you should only take 1,000 of that money, and the rest you pay from your pocket. So that they end up doing dhulm to you, but you don't do dhulm to them. Okay? They end up causing difficulty to you, but you don't cause difficulty to them. Do you understand the principle, guys? Because you're only taking back what you gave them. You're not taking back anymore. Another one last thing that I want to talk about was the fact that we Muslims sometimes we take our fiqh from the kuffar, which is incorrect. We take our fiqh from non-Muslims. So whenever they call something insurance, we say, okay, that's insurance. And whenever they call something buying and selling, we say, okay, that's buying and selling. No, rather, we don't look at these terms that the non-Muslims provide. Rather, we look at the reality of the contract, and we figure out whether it's halal or haram, looking at the reality of the contract. An example of this is this RSCV insurance that is available. Okay, I don't know if you have this insurance here, which is called a car. When the car breaks down, what do you call it here, guys? RSC. Okay, we have RSCV in Australia. Okay, RSC thing. Okay, let me explain to you how it is in Australia, so if you can have an idea. RSC insurance, RSCV insurance in Australia, Royal Automobile Association of Victoria, basically a corporation of Victoria. What it basically says is that you take out a policy with us for £100 a year, and what we'll do is that every time your car breaks down in the year, anytime it breaks down, no matter what, wherever it breaks down, we'll send one of our guys to fix your car up, and so that you can get on your way. This is the insurance, isn't it? This is what they call the insurance. Is this the same here as well? Yeah. This is halal. Why is this halal? This is not the same as the other one. Why is it not the same as the other one? Let me give you another example to explain how you can understand this example. Gym membership. You guys taken gym memberships ever? Right. How many times have you ended up using the gym? Once perhaps? Perhaps even never, perhaps even, huh? Okay, you take out the gym membership, and the membership is for 1 month, 1 year, for example. Each month you pay £100, £1,000, £1,200. You pay for the whole year, and with the condition that you can use the gym whenever you want, as many times as you want. So if you don't end up using the gym, is your money haram? No, because it is a guarantee of providing the service in that time period. Another example. You take out a prepaid mobile card, okay? Prepaid card chip, in Saudi Arabia just came out now, about a year or two ago. Now it says the conditions are like this: you can take the chip now, and you have to pay 100 riyals, 200 riyals to buy the chip, and the money and the credits it'll give you is about 100 riyals worth of credits, and that will run out after 1 month. So if you don't use your money within 1 month, you'll run out. Is that halal? Answer is yes. Why? Because it has given you the ability to use it up to the limit of 100, but it's your choice. You didn't use it until the time ran out, and so it is okay, right? Another example is you have hired a person. You've hired a person to work for you from 9 to 5, and the guy comes over, and he's just sitting there in the receptionist's office, and you forget about him, etc. For example, until it's 5 o'clock. The guy's been sitting there waiting for you. You've hired him, okay? You've hired him for the whole day. So you come to him at 5 o'clock and say, hey, guy, hey, what are you doing here? I said, hey, you hired me. So, oh my God, I forgot. And then so he knows his fiqh, and he said, well, you still owe me money. He said, why? Because I have been waiting here for you, and I have made myself available for you. Even though you didn't use me, you still have to pay me money because of that. That is true. That's Islamic. That's Islamic. So look at all these examples. And we go back to the RSCV example now. You have RSCV example. I do not wish to talk about the RSC scheme here, because obviously I have not gone through it. So, but I'll talk about the Australian one because I have gone through it. So the RSCV one, it has given you the ability for help for 1 year, with the with the fact that you're paying £100 each month. So because of that, even though your car will not break down, right, then it is still halal. Did you understand how? Because of those examples that I gave you? Yeah, it's just like a gym membership and you didn't use it. It's the same way. So why is this halal and the other one haram? For example, health insurance haram. It is haram because health insurance is an agreement of money for money. I give the health insurance money, in return health insurance will give me back more money. Okay, in the case that I'm in need. Whereas the RSCV thing, I give the RSCV money, in return they will give me a service, not money. You see the two things different? Right? It's a money for a service, whereas in the other case, in the haram case, it's money for money. If the health insurance company had its own hospitals, had its own hospitals, such that, for example, if you got sick, you just go to its hospital, which is actually owned by the health insurance company, then it becomes halal. Okay, I don't know about that, so I'm not going to talk about it. Okay, I'm not going to say it's halal or not. Okay, but it's your responsibility, akhi. But okay, but if it does have its own banks or own hospitals, right, then it is halal then. Why? Because it is not giving you back money in return so that you can pay for the hospital that you got your treatment at. No, but it's giving you back a service. You understand that? In the same way, what happens in Muslim countries, like for example Egypt and Jordan, is that the people go to the doctors and they give the doctor a lump sum amount of money, let's say 1,000 riyals, and they say, hey doc, whenever I become sick, you're gonna treat me. And the doctor agrees with the contract that, you pay me 1,000 riyals a year. So whenever he gets sick, the doctor treats him. This is halal, because it's money for a service. Okay, alhamdulillah, we are at the end of our session. Alhamdulillah, I've taken a lot of time, but hopefully, inshallah, you have learned a lot today, and you will try and apply these principles in your life, inshallah, and stay away from that which is haram. And you know, I mean, we have gone through one of the most difficult parts of fiqh today. The ulama really used to say that you know, everything of fiqh is easy, really, except for fiqh of buying and selling. That is the most difficult fiqh. And if the ulama really wanted to test someone's fiqh, they would always ask him a question in buying and selling, just to test him how much knowledge of fiqh he has. And because this is the case, the science of buying and selling and the fiqh of buying and selling is so difficult. Not, you know, most people don't understand it. Most people fall into it, and because it is such a tricky you know, thing, it is there's such a thin line, a thin boundary between falling into the halal and falling into the haram. But inshallah, try and go through these notes and through the tapes, try and understand them, try and listen to them, and inshallah, may Allah open it up for you and open your and help you to stay away from the haram. And if inshallah, even if you leave one transaction that you have been doing that is haram through these sessions, inshallah, then our objective will have been achieved, inshallah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Subhanalaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
وأفضل خلق الله من نسل آدم وأزكاهم فرعا وأشرفهم نجرا فقد صح أن الله جل جلاله.
Okay, I'm going to just, you know, take one from the brothers, one from the sisters. That's how I'm going to do it. I'll start with the sisters. The first question is, if the haram we commit every day is out of ignorance, then is it written down as a sin? A good point. We had talked about this yesterday. Ignorance. When someone is ignorant, if you're ignorant and you have an excuse for being ignorant, and I'll talk about the excuses for being ignorant. If you have an excuse for being ignorant, then no, it is not a sin upon you, and it basically you're not a sinner. However, if you don't have an excuse for an ignorance, then it is a sin upon you. It is a sin upon you, and you'll be punished for it if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so wills. The excuses for ignorance are numerous. First of all, if you are new to Islam. Second of all, if you lived away from the Muslims, if you live in a place that is away from the Muslims. Third of all, if you wanted to find out the answer but you could not find out the answer because, for example, you don't have access to ulama, you don't have access to books, you don't have access to means of really asking people. And so these are the three reasons for which you are forgiven for being ignorant. If, however, you lived amongst the Muslims, such as, for example, you're living in Saudi Arabia, you lived amongst the Muslims, and you still, and you went to Muslim schools, living amongst Muslims, living in Mecca, Medina, and still you don't pray. Still, for example, you don't pray. Can you give the excuse that I'm sorry, I'm ignorant? Or can we even entertain the excuse that he is ignorant? No, we're not allowed to. So this person would be a disbeliever straight away. Straight away we hear, he lives in Makkah and Medina? Yes. He doesn't pray? Doesn't pray. I'm sorry, he's a disbeliever straight away. He lives in England? Yes. Does he pray? Doesn't pray. Is he a disbeliever? We can't say that. Why? Because he lives in a non-Muslim state, and it may be that he doesn't know. Because he might not live next to the Muslims. Right? Also, this is of course regarding issues which are easy and clear to understand, such as, for example, prayer, which everyone sees. And for example, beard, which everyone sees, for example. So what about things in which what about issues that are very difficult to understand, such as whether using checks to buy gold and silver jewelry is permissible or not? That's a difficult point, isn't it? We only reached that point after we went through the whole introduction towards the fiqh, isn't it? So that would have an excuse, whether you are amongst the Muslims or not amongst the Muslims, because it is a difficult point. Whether such and such hire and purchase scheme, etc., is halal or not. If a person does it in ignorance, then he has an excuse. Why? Because it is a difficult topic. Whether he be in a Muslim country, whether it be in a non-Muslim country, whether it be new to Islam, whether it be old in Islam, etc., etc. However, this is all provided. These three things I mentioned are excuses, provided that he never had the possibility of learning. He never had lessons like this, for example, held, in which he could come and ask questions and get his questions clarified, or he could come and understand what the principles of buyu are. If he knew about these lessons, for example, and he did not come to them, knowing that, for example, these lessons we will talk about riba, and he did not come to these lessons intentionally. Let's say he didn't have an excuse. He didn't have, for example, he had another commitment, etc., etc. He just didn't come to them because he wanted to watch the Euro 2004 final between Portugal and who? Forgot. Greece. Yeah, and he wanted to watch that final. Okay, and he didn't come because he's following his desires. He didn't want to come. Is that an excuse? It is not an excuse. In this case, if he falls into riba, he will be punished for it, if Allah so wills. So therefore, my brothers, it is very, very important to make sure that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you the possibility of gaining knowledge, that you do it, because you may be doing so many haram things. And I'll guarantee you, those people who haven't come to the lesson today and do not know about these principles, they will be falling into haram night and day. I'll tell you that, subhanallah. It's unbelievable. They will be falling into a sin for which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has cursed them, and for which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has declared war upon them. It's amazing, ya akhi. It's amazing how easily you can fall into riba. So for those people who had an excuse for not coming, for example, to lessons, I'm not saying it has to be my lessons. No. I'm saying any lessons, for example, of which a particular knowledge is being taught, and thereafter you don't come to it because of a sin, or because of a desire. You don't want to come to it, and later on you fall into that sin. Then you will be accountable for that sin, because it was your fault. You did not take the knowledge when it came to you. Because if this is not the case, then how do we, for example, say the kuffar will enter into hellfire? Why? Because Quran is available and they don't want to listen to it. Right? The Quran is available, we're reading the Quran to them, we're calling them to Islam, but they don't want to listen to it. That's why they're going to enter hellfire, right? In the same way, these Muslims who are sinful, don't attend lessons, don't try and remove the ignorance from them, don't read books, don't listen to tapes on the topics that matter to them. Business people who are in business, everybody needs to know these things, because everyone has to do commerce in any day. He's either a buyer or a seller all the time. So if he doesn't do that intentionally, then he will be punishable for falling into the haram. Okay. And don't give us excuse. Allah is Ghafoor Rahim. Allah is Ghafoor Rahim. Yes, He's also Shadid al-Iqab. Allah is the most forgiving, most merciful. Yes, at the same time, He's also the severest in punishment. So don't take it as an easy thing. Don't try and fool Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah has strict regulation that you need to follow. Okay. Question from the brothers? Tfaddal akhi.
Are we allowed to inherit something that's been bought by interest? For example, if my father's bought a house with a mortgage, and he passed away,
yes,
we are allowed to inherit that property.
Okay. When you mention your father has passed away, always say, may Allah have mercy on him, may Allah forgive him.
Not possible. Theoretical.
Oh, theoretical. Okay, all right. It's still, alhamdulillah, may Allah, have mercy on him when he passes away, and may Allah, etc., etc. Okay. Okay. Yes, it's permissible for you to inherit from the haram money that your father has earned. The haram property that your father has earned, whether it be a property, it be a house that he's taken on interest, whether it be alcohol money, whether it be etc., stolen money, etc., etc. If it is haram money that he has earned, whether it be, for example, he had an account in the bank on which he's been earning interest, thereafter he dies and passes away, then it is permissible for you to inherit from that money. Why? Because اختلاف اليد اختلف به الحكم. This is one qaida in fiqh. The The qaida says that when the ownership changes of a property changes, then the hukum changes. So it is haram for him, but halal for you. Okay, let me give you an example. Let me give you the proof before you hurry up. Okay, the proof is that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, obviously he was a Nabi, and because he was a Nabi, it is not permissible for him to eat from zakat. Okay, it's not permissible for him to also eat from charity. Zakat is not charity. In general, it's not permissible to eat anything that's charity. It's permissible for him to eat from that which is sadaqah, that which is hadiyah, which is a gift. So if Rasulullah was there and I gave him charity, that would not be halal for him to take it. But if it was a gift, then it would be halal for him to take it, right? Okay. So what happened once was that Rasulullah had a slave called Barira. Okay, Barira was a slave of Rasulullah, and Barira was given some money. Was given some dates by someone, and so Rasulullah came into the house and he found the dates. And he took one and he was about to eat it. And thereafter, Aisha radiallahu anha told him that هذا صدقة, that this is sadaqah. And what she meant was, of course, this was sadaqah that was given to Barira, that was given to the slave. This was charity that was given to the slave. And so Rasulullah said, إنها له صدقة ولنا هدية. It is for him sadaqah, but for us hadiyah, for us gift. Why? Because Barira had given to Rasulullah as a gift, right? So it is therefore the same thing, but because the yad has changed, and so the hukum has also changed. So here for your father it was haram, but for you it's halal.
And the other one was, if, for example, I was working in a bank obviously makes much interest.
Okay, the other question the brother had was working for banks. Brother, you're not allowed to even clean the floor for the banks. You're not allowed to fix the lights for the banks. You're not allowed to clean the screens for the banks. You're not allowed to type in the banks. You're not allowed to do any sort of work for any riba institution. Okay, as long as the main purpose of that institution is haram, then you're not allowed to work for it. Let me give you an example. If you're working for a hotel, for example, hotel has haram stuff there, isn't it? However, it's permissible to work for a hotel because its main business is halal, which is to provide rental accommodation facilities. It has other haram stuff, such as, for example, it has a bar, it has discos, etc., etc. It has haram stuff in there. But is it halal for you to work for it? Yes, as long as, of course, you're working in the halal area of it, not the haram area of it. Okay. Why are we saying it's halal for you to work for it? Because majority of it is halal, and its main business is halal. Whereas a bank, its main business is haram. So therefore, banks, insurance companies, financial institutions, a large number of financial institutions, alcohol companies deal with alcohol, companies that deal with pork, etc., dirty magazines, etc., dirty stuff. All of this is not permissible to work for them at all. Okay, question from sisters before they get angry. Okay, it says, what is the difference between interest and usury? Interest is a term set up with the kuffar, saying that it is in your interest, oh my so and so client, to take this money. Subhanallah, see how they make the shaitani terms into nice, use flowery terms to talk about their filth. A'udhu billah. It should be called usury. This is what it is. It is not interest, it is usury. Of course, it's the same thing, but it should be called usury, and it should be called riba. And the riba and usury are disgusting terms, dirty terms, and this is fit for that money, that it is really usury and riba and not interest. Okay, the brother's asking that in the part exchange, is it a part exchange for a car? You trade in your old car for new. Would that be permissible or not? The answer is it's permissible because it's actually one contract. It's like a car and a money for a new car. Okay, it's one contract, it's not two. You can make it into two if you wish, but that would make it haram. So it's one contract. It's really a car and money for that. Just like, for example, gold and money for new gold, which is haram because that would fall into riba. But this is halal because riba does not happen in cars.
And also, if you lend someone some money and they say, I'll give you a check in 3 days. It's a separate issue, isn't it? Like if you lend them the money, let's say I'll pay you in 5 days' time, but by check, that's okay.
Yeah, if the brother's asking that I'll lend you money, and he'll pay me back by check, and and the check is dated for 5 days, that's fine as long as the agreement is that you're lending money.
Yeah.
But when the agreement is that it's not lending money, it's a buying and selling contract, okay, then it becomes haram. So it's very important to have that understood. That's why, for example, when the person that works in the grocery, he went out with the money in order to get change, as we gave in the example in the first session, right? We said it was riba because our intention at that point was buying and selling. However, if we change our intention that making him our agent, it becomes halal, right? So intentions have a lot to do with the contract itself that makes halal or haram. One from the sisters is buying and selling pig leather haram. The ulama have differences on this point, whether the leather of pig and dogs become pure after it is tanned. And the answer is that the ulama have differences. So majority of the ulama are of the opinion that it does not become pure. It still remains haram. It still remains najis. And some of the ulama, such as the Zahiri ulama of Ibn Hazm rahimahullah and others, are of the opinion that it does become pure, because Rasulullah said that ayyuma ihabin qad dubigh faqad tahur, whichever ihab, which is meaning the skin, had been tanned, then it has become pure. I tend to prefer the opinion of the vast majority of the ulama that says that it does not become pure, and therefore say it's haram to buy and sell. It's also haram to wear it and pray, for example, and also to wear it in normal circumstances. However, the opinion of Ibn Hazm is also strong. Okay. So my advice is to stay away from that and not to have jackets, etc., made of pig leather. Okay. One from the sisters, it says, which category does livestock come under? I don't know what category you're talking about. Livestock, I think it doesn't come under any of the categories of riba, because it is not a product that is stored, and is not a product that is sold in kilos, and it's not a product that is a food item. Livestock, if you're talking about live animals. If you're talking about meat, then meat also is something that is not stored. Guys, forget about refrigerators. Think about stored items that can be dried and stored, for example. Okay, dried and stored are like dates, like peas, nuts, and rice and all that. These are the things that can be dried and stored. Raisins, for example. Whereas meat cannot be dried and stored. Yes, the dry meat can be, and so therefore dry meat would be. But however, fresh meat, there is no riba in it, inshallah. Okay, so therefore, which category does livestock come under? Would be under food stuff, if you're talking about the meat. Yeah, the question is as well, donating blood. Is it permissible? Inshallah, we see permissibility of it. We see that inshallah it's permissible to donate blood, because it is to save a human being, and because it's a matter of necessity. So we see it. However, in other cases, we don't really see permissibility of it. So you can't just, for example, in dying, sign a piece of paper on the deathbed saying, okay, my kidney will go to this kidney association, my nose will go there, my eyes will go there, and my tongue will go there. No, you have no right for that. But because blood is of a different, it's also an organ. Blood is an organ. However, it is a different type of organ. It rejuvenates itself, and so therefore we allow it, inshallah, because of the great need of people for it. Okay, one from the sisters that says, what about buying a house? Buying a house in cash through an auction where you don't necessarily know the condition of the house. What about buying a house in cash?
What is this? You have auctions?
Yeah, just 1 second. Let me just read it. What about buying a house in cash through an auction where you don't necessarily know the condition of the house? If you know the condition of the house in general, as it is normally known, obviously, for example, you can buy a car in an auction as well, but you won't be able to drive it. Okay, I mean, I've bought a car in an auction. All I could do is just go a little bit to the front, a little bit to the back. That's all I could do, just to make sure it moves, right? Apart from that, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't really try it, make sure the steering is nice and comfortable, the engine's not puffing smoke too much, and etc. And I couldn't do all that. So, if this is the way in which the custom has happened, the customs of the people, in this sort of business is that business is done in this way, and so therefore, of course, the amount of gharar, amount of uncertainty in this contract is actually more than normal. However, if the business is done in this manner, and of course, buying a house in auction, you have the chance to come in, about they usually have viewing times, which is about 3 to 4 hours before the auction, or might be a different day, and you can come in, have a look, if it's nice or not, and choose it. If you choose not to do it, or you haven't done it, then that's not their fault. And if you buy the house, then you are stuck with it. You're stuck with it. Okay, it's obligatory on you. You cannot say, I'm sorry, I didn't know house was XYZ. Okay, the brother's asking that the healthcare insurance we're in, the institute doesn't have its own, healthcare places. However, we will pay a healthcare for you. Isn't that the same principle? The answer is no, it's not the same principle, because they are not providing a service for you. They are paying someone to provide a service for you. Wallahi, it is a very, very different thing. If you look at the contract is that you pay us £100 a month. In return, we will pay for your medical costs. Full stop. That's the contract, isn't it? If that's the case, it's not permissible. If that's the case, and the contract is in that manner, it is not permissible. Okay? You can't say, for example, I have health insurance and therefore I go to XYZ hospital, St. George's Hospital, for example, and say, listen, hey, fix me up. And they say, okay, have you got a health insurance card? He said, yeah, this is my health insurance, this is my company. And they take your card number down and then charge the health insurance company later on. No, this is not allowed. This sort of insurance is not allowed.
On the car policies, for example, what they have sometimes is that they might not cover a region where you're broken down. So they'll subcontract another company to come out and fix your car.
Yeah, okay, the brother's asking regarding companies and subcontracting. That's fine. That's not a problem, as long as they are doing that. As long as you, the end user, are not getting money in return.
But the hospital, you don't get money.
Yes, you are. You are getting money, and you're paying the hospital through the money.
Does it make a difference if they pay?
If the hospital said we will provide services, I'm sorry guys, listen to me. If the hospital says we will provide you services, full stop. Doesn't matter whether they will provide from their own hospitals, whether they will pay other hospitals, etc. If the contract is a contract of services, then it's halal. If the contract is a contract of money in return, then it's not halal. You understand? Like, for example, a lot of insurance companies, what happens is you get the bills for your medical expenses, then what you do is you send them off to the health insurance companies, for example, and then the health insurance companies will look at it, and then if they agree that this is right within the health insurance policy, then they'll pay for it. If this is the case, it's not halal. If it is the other way around, when they will provide the service, then it becomes halal. Inshallah, you guys can easily figure out whether it's halal or haram based on this answer. Fadal akhi. He had a question.
Just two clarifications. One was when you mentioned currencies are based upon, some are based upon gold and silver. For example, is the dollar only based upon silver, or is it based upon gold? I mean, I'm not too sure exactly how that.
Right. The brother's asking when the currencies, what are they based upon? The currencies are based upon whatever the people who have set that currency have based it upon initially. So initially, the gold that I know, to the best of my knowledge, was based upon silver. And for example, the Kuwaiti dinar, to the best of my knowledge, was based upon silver. And the Saudi riyal, for example, to the best of my knowledge, was based upon silver. So this is the case. Then that is what it follows.
So then that becomes
Okay. No, it does not become that. Why? Because as I said, that this was initially what it was. Initially, it was a replacement for silver, replacement for gold. Therefore, it would have the same hukum as if you're buying and selling just gold or silver. But we said that later on, this relationship with gold and silver was removed. So it doesn't have that relationship anymore. Okay? So therefore, it has become as if it is a third species, or fourth species, fifth species. So this is why it is permissible for you to buy gold with more currency, with more pounds than the gold itself, for example. Okay? So it's permissible for you to have increases in either of the two, but the only condition has to be hand in hand. Do you understand, Akhi? Yeah. So therefore, pound is a species, and the real is a species, and Kuwaiti dinar is a species, and the gold is a species, and the silver is a species. Therefore, when you are buying from one species to another species of the same category, what is the only condition you have? Hand in hand. That's it. Yeah, the brother's asking platinum. The platinum, platinum is if it becomes, it hasn't yet become, if it becomes a means of buying and selling, and becomes a means of people's wealth, it is at that point that we will give it the same hukum. Otherwise, it does not fall under the same hukum. So you can buy platinum at this point in time, right? At this time, you can go to the bursary, for example. You can buy platinum, and you don't even have to get it at the same time, because platinum has not fallen under one of the species as yet of monetary value. Okay? Do you find anybody using platinum currency? No. Is there currency made of platinum? No. Do you understand? Okay. So therefore, it is not the same. And the same as diamonds, for example. Diamonds, is that a currency yet? No. Do people use it as a currency? No. Therefore, it is not considered to be a species from the monetary category of riba. And so therefore, based on this, it is permissible for you to buy diamonds. You can pay more currency for less diamonds, for example, and you don't have to have it hand in hand. You understand? Okay. Yeah, because it's not a species. Right. Okay, the brother is asking, are you allowed to donate blood for non-Muslims who require blood? The answer is inshallah, yes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not forbidden us from doing good to the non-Muslims. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not forbidden us from being good to them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made us the most merciful of creation. We should be more merciful to them than they are to us. So therefore, based on this, inshallah, it is permissible to donate blood to them as well. Okay, تفضل أخي.
Sometimes in this society it's not always wise to carry cash in transactions. Sometimes what we do is on credit card you purchase your goods on a monthly basis, whatever, and you get the statement at the end of the month.
Yeah.
And then you pay the whole statement at the end of the month, therefore you do not incur any interest charges. Is that permissible or not?
Yeah, the brother is asking regarding credit card purchases because it's not really safe to always carry cash. So he, as a business, for example, he might just end up buying a lot of things and then pay at the end of the month. We already said, inshallah, it's permissible in our circumstances to use credit cards. So therefore, as long as inshallah you are paying back on time, inshallah, we don't have a problem with that. So it's permissible, inshallah. Tfaddal.
Okay, say you have a product here and you supply it to a retailer, and if it sells, then they give you a car. Otherwise, they return the item to you. So it's sale or return, basically, So is this permissible?
The brother's asking if you have a product and then you give the product to a retailer, and they'll retail the product for you. If it sells, it sells. In which case you get the money. Otherwise, you just get the good back. The answer is yes, it sounds permissible. Why? Because it's like that retailer is your agent. Basically, he's displaying a product for you, and if he sells it, you get your money back, and he gets his commission. If he doesn't sell it, it's just like he won't get his money.
One other point: if the same product, say, it doesn't actually exist yet, and you say put it on the internet yet, and you create a visual of it, but it doesn't actually exist, and you sell the item. So it's like if you get orders from the internet, then you produce it and then sell it on. Is this permissible?
If you're going to produce it, if you're going to sell a product that does not exist yet, and you don't, and if you have doubt that you can produce it, then you're not allowed to do it. If it is a product that you are producing, and that you have the means to produce it, right, and you have the ability to produce it, and you're only waiting for someone to give you the order so that you can buy it and you can produce it, and this is a permissible contract in Islam. This is a permissible contract in Islam, and this is what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to do. This is called what we call in Islam bay' as-salam. Bay' as-salam, right? Bay' as-salam basically is the opposite of bay' at-taqseed. Bay' at-taqseed basically is that you take the product now and give the money later. Bay' as-salam is the opposite of that. Okay, bay' at-taqseed means bay' installments, selling installments. So selling installments, the procedure is you take the product now, but you pay installments, right? Bay' as-salam is the opposite. You pay now, I'll give you the product later. Okay, what's the benefit of that? The benefit of that is that people can take the money now, the business people can take the money now, and then use that money to produce a product and then give it to the people later. This is permissible, inshallah, and this is permissible in Islam. So, based on this bay' as-salam, you can take the money from the people and then give the product to them later. But you have conditions. The conditions are the following. First of all, you cannot and you must not you must not give them an image of the product that is incorrect. Rather, you must give them a true, correct image of the product, and including as much details as possible: the quantity of the product, the quality of the product, how it looks from, etc. In all different ways, all the specifications about the product, until the person has reasonably understood what the product is and what he's buying. Firstly, second of all, you must make sure that the money for the product is completely taken at the time of agreeing to the product. So you take all of the money. You don't take half the money. Don't say, put in $10 now and give me the rest later. Okay. So these two conditions have to be looked at. You must make sure that the jahala, the uncertainty, is removed from the guy, what he's going to buy. And secondly, he pays all the money right now. Okay. It's only then that you might say, okay, I'll produce the product for you. It'll be ready for you in 1 month's time. This is permissible, inshallah. It's like, for example, when PlayStation 2 was coming out, I remember people were going crazy, and so what they had was a demo of PlayStation 2. People would look at it, they could see it, and then it hasn't come yet into the market, but people were still paying the money for it. Okay, some of them, what they were doing is they were paying only a little bit of the money, and then the rest they would pay when the PlayStation was ready and was there in the market, and they could take the PlayStation. What the others were doing was they were taking all of the money, and then when the PlayStation was ready, then they could go and pick it up. And the second one is halal. The first one is not halal. Okay.
Is it permissible to use a product or service on a free trial?
A product
or service on a free trial, let's say a month, and then if you're happy with it, you take up the service. But if you're not, then you don't pay.
Yes, this is a Islamic principle, isn't it? Because you're supposed to be able to, for example, before you buy a horse, you're supposed to be able to reuse it. Okay, obviously you're going to be using the horse only for a couple of minutes, not for 10 days, 20 days. But that's only because that's how the business works in the business of selling horses. In the other business, the business of internet, the business of of internet, etc., other sorts of services, the way it works is that basically 30 days, they give you a 30-day trial period, and so you can use it. If you like it, continue on. You don't like it, get rid of it. This is halal, inshallah. Okay, so let's further.
Regarding if you bought a car and they say they'll give it to you after a month or a week, but what if the car's not in the condition?
The car?
But if the car's not in the same condition as to when you agreed to that term.
Yeah, the brother's asking that if you agree to buy a car and then they will only give the car after a week, and then you find out later on that the car was not the condition that you bought it, then this is the thing we talked about in the first session, that you have the khiyar al-aib, meaning that you have the choice in the case of a defect. If you find a defect in the car, and the defect is that it's in the same condition you bought it at, that's a defect, isn't it? Right? That's a defect, and so therefore you have the choice to return the car. Even until the day of judgment, you have the choice, forever.
What if the defect happens after you bought it, but he's still using it before he's given it to you after that week?
Sorry, he has been using it.
Within the week that he said that he would use it.
Well, he's already made the condition in the contract that he would use it?
He said you buy it today and you'll use it for a week and it's yours. And it gets damaged within that 1 week.
Okay, the brother is saying that if the condition of the contract is such that I will sell you the car now, however, I will get to use it for 1 week. That's a condition you put in the contract. However, in that week it becomes bad. Then remember what the Rasulullah said. It said, "Al-kharaj bid-daman," profit is with the guarantee of loss. This guy is taken under his belt, and so he has, because he's guaranteeing the profit because he's using it. So he must also suffer the loss. Therefore, loss is his. He must give the money back to you. Okay.
What about when you can buy stuff here? You can buy it at buy it now price, or you can have the option of paying in installments. But if you're paying in installments, then you'll be paying a little bit more. Okay, the brother is asking, if you buy the cash price, you can pay cheaper, and if you buy the installment price, then this is halal. This is that you'll end up paying installments, however, at an increased price. This is halal, inshallah. Vast majority of the Salaf are of the opinion this is halal. This is halal, inshallah. I will take only 2 more questions and then we'll stop, inshallah. Tfaddal.
Special offer on one product and then get the second one free. Say halal.
Alhamdulillah, Jazakallah khair for asking this question. This is something I forgot to talk about. Buy a product and get another one free. Unfortunately, in the market, we find that the advertising schemes have actually gone overboard. And people and the tujjar are using a lot of these schemes in order to destroy the market. This one says, buy my product and I'll give you a free spoon. This one says, buy my product, I'll give you a free watch. This one says, buy my product, I'll give you that for free, this for free, isn't it? Or this one says, buy mine, get one for free, and that one says, buy mine and get two for free. This is tala'ub in the souk. This is really a play that is happening. This is against Sharia. This is not really correct, and it's makruh. I don't say it's haram, it's makruh. Why is it makruh? Because Sharia wants us to buy from the merchant who is truthful and honest, not from the merchant who will give you more and therefore give you less quality product. No, Sharia knows that there is a particular price for a product, and he will therefore wants particular characteristics to be available in the merchant that you buy from, such as honesty and trust, etc., etc. It doesn't want the other way, competition by killing your Muslim brother. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ta'awanu ala birri wa taqwa wa la ta'awanu ala ithmi wa udwan. Help each other to birr and taqwa, and not upon ithmi and udwan, upon sin and transgression. Here, when you are trying to outsell your brother by increasing your things that you're giving, and so therefore you will end up selling more than the other one, because naturally people will come to you, then you're actually hurting your brother, right? And so this is therefore makruh, not really good. However, you are in this society where everyone is doing it. You have no choice except to do it. So you can go ahead and do it then. One last question. So.
What if you buy something, right, and basically after you bought it, you see that it's offered at a cheaper price somewhere else, and at the time of the contract there's no condition specified, like a certain time period where you have to change your mind and refund that product and get money back. Now, what would you do in that situation if you wanted to return the product and go for a cheaper one?
Okay, the brother says you bought a product and you find that later on someone else is selling it for cheaper, and there is no agreement in the product that you bought that you can return the product in a given time. The answer is, I'm sorry, akhi, it's wajib on you. It's wajib on you. The contract has become wajib because you have separated. You have made a contract and then you have separated from the place of making the contract. Therefore, the contract has become wajib on you, and you cannot go back and return it now, unless the person will be nice to you and kind to you and say, okay, I'll take it back from you. Otherwise, it's not permissible. Jazakallah khair. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu
سالف أثقل الله.